Firsts are always very special. I want all of you to pay full attention because in this video we are going to discuss three primary questions. So take out your laptops, get ready and follow along. Let's get started. Before proceeding ahead, if you haven't watched the video on the Python installation and haven't set up Python in your systems, I recommend you to watch the video in the I link above. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe because here we are learning Python for data science from very beginners all the way to the advanced libraries. Additionally, we cover or discuss topics and concepts on data science, machine learning, data analysis. So make sure to subscribe to never miss a video. Now going forward, let us look at what are the three primary questions that we are going to answer today. So we shall understand how to write the basic program in Python. Let us head over to our index section, to the chapter concerning it. Right, in the very first chapter on the basics of programming, we shall learn how to write our first program in Python. We shall quickly open VS Code. You must have VS Code setup installed. If not, you can use the online editor, online Python compiler, which I have provided in the previous video on the Python installation. Check it in the I link. Additionally, now here I have already written a basic program for you, but let us rewrite it, okay, so that you can follow along. I'll just create a new file, my first program dot py. Py is the extension for Python. So your name, okay, let us do my name. My name is Saurav Agarwal. My message, do not, if you do not know about what these are or what we are doing right now, just follow along. Just make sure to just follow as I am doing, and then we are also going to understand. First we need to understand the three primary questions. I am glad to be here, being able to contribute back to the society, to the Python community. Now, as part of the assignment, I want all of you to make a change and write your name here and give your own custom message. Okay. Now we shall print it. So we have written our very first basic program or very first Python program. Now the first question, how to write a Python program, we are covering here. Now the second question that we need to answer is how to execute our Python programs. So for this, let me show you step by step in VS Code. Head over to the section, open terminal, create new terminal. In the terminal, you must have Python set up. If you have followed the lecture on setting up Python, then you would have Python 3.9.8 installed and available in your terminal here. Now what we need to do is, see, as you will check that our program or the file that we have written, my first program.py, let me save this, is present under datahat 2.0, which is also our current working directory. So here we will directly give the file python space file name, my first program.py, and you see the message is printed along with my name. Okay, so we learned how to write a Python program, we learned how to execute the Python program. Next, and the third primary question that we are going to answer is how to debug a Python program. See, all these details are also provided in the ebook that I am preparing, and these shall be shared in my Telegram channel. If you want to join my Telegram channel, the link is provided in the description below. All these details would be provided here as well. Now, how to debug? Let us make certain mistakes, certain random mistakes. As you know that Python is interpreted at runtime. So what happens is, wherever it will find a mistake, wherever it will find an error, it will report that without executing further lines. Okay, let me save it with using Ctrl S and re-execute it. Now, as you see, we have an error message, right? So how do we debug? So first of all, look for the error information that you are having. In the error information, you have a traceback, you have the file name, your Python file or Python script name, then it specifies the line number. So look for this line number where your error is present. So it says in line number 4 you have an error. This is our line number and line number 4. Okay, so here we have an error. Now where exactly the error is in print my name. Now what this error message is saying, follow this error message. It says name PRIT is not defined, which is very well right because PRIT is not defined. Instead we have PRINT. Now we have done this. Let us rerun it. Let me clear the screen and you see my name is now printed. So this also proves that Python is being interpreted here. It executes a line and then follows along. In a complete compiled setting during runtime, even if there is any one mistake, it would not execute any line of code there. Okay. So you see now the next is in line number 5 you have an error where name PRNT is not defined. So here we missed an I. Let us now put an I here, and now you know how to debug your programs. Now you know the 3 primary questions and the answers, how to write a Python program, how to execute them, and then how to debug them. In the next chapter or in chapter 2, we are going to look at the basic components of a Python program: scope, indentation, keywords, and identifier. Let us quickly head over to a sample program and understand it. Now in this program, if you see, the value of I is initially set to 2. Now we create a function. How do we create a function? We'll cover when we learn about the functions, but just follow along that we are creating a function here, and inside this function we are creating the value of I equal to 7. We are printing two messages inside the function scope and outside the function scope. Let us see what happens. Okay, so yeah, Python basic components.py. If you see inside the function scope, the value of variable I is 7, whereas outside the scope the value is 2 as we set it to. Now your scope defines the region wherein a particular variable is located. For instance, say you have a file name called data. Now this same file name is also present in directory 1 as well as in directory 2. However, the components of the file are different in the two directories. The file names are same. Now how would you locate the file name data? You would look up to the directory structure or its location where it is present, right? Based on that you are going to distinguish what information would be present there. This is what is defined as a scope. If we look at, see, the mathematical or definition of the scope is: scope identifies the region in which a particular variable or identifier is valid. Okay, so outside the scope the variable might not be identified, its value might be different. Okay, what differentiates, there is also one important thing about scope, right? Scope came about because early programming languages like basic only had global names. What do we mean by global names? Global names means a variable which is defined once and used across the entire program. That same variable is used entirely across the programs. So basically whatever value you are defining at the top, that value or that variable, the reference to that variable is being used repeatedly. With this kind of name, any part of the program could modify any variable at any time. This is right because the same variable is being referenced again and again throughout the entire program. Now this is fine when you have a small set of set of codes, right? When you have say 50 lines of code or 10 lines of code. However, in real software development, in real programming, right, you would have thousands and thousands of lines of code. There it becomes very difficult to manage such a variable. It becomes very difficult to trace what is the value of this variable, where was it modified, and how is it getting modified. So for that, scope came into the picture in order to differentiate or distinguish the region in which the variable is identified. It helps it make it more manageable. Now the second component of Python program is indentation. You see that under this function deffunc, the variable I is shifted towards the right. The name print is again shifted to the right. This helps you enhancing readability. At the same time, it helps define the scope. Okay, so how would you differentiate different scopes? That is based on the indentation. This is the indentation, the gap, right? This is the indentation. If you see from the, it starts from the very left, and then as you create multiple scopes, it indents or moves towards the right to clearly differentiate the various scopes. Because Python is very user friendly as well as very much relatable to the English construct. So it does not use a certain notation such as parenthesis used in Java or semicolon used in C++. So those are not used in Python. This indentation helps define your scope. Okay, hope this is clear. Let us, the same thing is also provided here with an example. If you look at it, the space here is the indentation. The third basic component of a Python program are the keywords. So keywords are predefined and reserved words in any programming language, be it C++, Java, Basic, COBOL, Fortran. Everyone has their own set of defined keywords. For example, the print word, right? The word print here used here. This is a keyword because it already has a specific purpose within the Python scope, right? Within a Python program, it already has a specific purpose. You are not defining it. This is predefined. Now in Python 3, you have a list of 33 keywords, whereas in Python 2, we only had 30. So here is the list of all 30 keywords. You'll see in the screen here, as well as you will find here in this documentation. And the fourth basic component is the identifier. Identifiers are the names we give to identify a variable. For instance, the variable here I. How do we identify the value 2 associated to this variable? By the variable name I, right? For again in this example, how would you identify the value Saurav Agarwal? You would identify with the variable name my name. So this is an identifier. Identifiers could be the variable names, function names such as func, class names, or object names. There are certain rules for writing identifiers. There are primarily 4 rules for writing identifiers. Okay, writing correct identifiers in a Python program. First of all, remember that Python is case sensitive. So writing a variable name in capital letters is different from writing the variable name in small letters. Identifiers can be a combination of letters, digits and underscore. You can only use letters, digits and underscore. You cannot use any other special character. An identifier can start with a character or an underscore, but it can never start with a digit, right? For instance, here one var, this is invalid because it starts with a digit. Third, we cannot use special characters except underscore. You cannot write var dollar, var8 underscore hash. These are invalid. And the fourth thing is keywords are not allowed as identifiers. For instance, you cannot use the variable name as name. You cannot use assert as any of your identifiers. These are invalid. Hope you understand the 4 basic components of Python program. And also hope you enjoyed this lecture and you're following the Python tutorial for data science as I'm putting videos every week. Make sure to follow, make sure to watch the prerequisites if you haven't watched. So if you like the content, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Additionally, here are 3 questions for you, 3 basic assignment questions. As I mentioned, you must attempt these questions so that you can follow along, you can learn better, and you can improve your understanding of the 2 chapters that we read so far. See you in the next lecture. Have a nice day. Bye bye.